amid diplomacy taking center stage even as the war in West Asia goes unabated, Iran has told the United States that it would prefer to engage in talks with United States Vice President JD Vance rather than US President Donald Trump or other members of his administration. This message was reportedly conveyed to the US through a back-channel communications. Iranian representatives suggested that talks led by US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff or by Jared Kushner would be unlikely to succeed because of the deep deficit of trust following the collapse of earlier negotiations before the outbreak of hostilities. The claims were made by a CNN report. The officials told the news outlet that Iran feels that Vance may be more open to taking a course that leads to a diplomatic end to the war than some others in the administration. A source familiar with the discussions told CNN that the perception is that Vance would be intent on wrapping up the conflict rather than expanding it. However, the same sources sounded a warning that entering in direct negotiations could also pose risks for Vance, as striking an agreement to end the conflict would turn out to be complex and politically sensitive. Even as Tehran has voiced its preference for Vance, Iranian officials also admitted that final decisions on who represents US in talks will rest with Donald Trump. White House press secretary said that it's Trump alone who would decide who are in US negotiating team. She said senior officials including Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Witkoff and Kushner are involved in the broader diplomatic effort. However, another White House official rejected the reports that Iran preferred Vance. The official said that reports are an attempt by regional actors to impact the US policy, dubbing it as a coordinated foreign propaganda campaign meant to undermine the US President Donald Trump. As per reports, there are discussions underway to hold a meeting between US and Iranian representatives later this week in Islamabad. Pakistan has reportedly offered to host the talks. However, officials involved in the mediation efforts are doubtful that such a meeting will take place as the conflict and tension continue to escalate. Countries including Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey, and Oman are apparently working as intermediaries, passing messages between Washington and Tehran in a bid to secure both a truce and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz.